XP made by DuPont. A little background about it. Oust is a dispersible granule that is mixed in water and applied as a spray or impregnated on dry bulk fertilizer. And it's used to control many annual or perennial grasses and broadleaf weeds in forestry and non-crop sites. So it's not really used for hardwoods, it's pretty much just used for grasses. The active ingredient is something I can't pronounce. Sulfametron methyl.
Great, that's right, exactly how you say it.
At 75%, and then other ingredients at 25.
Let me stop you right there, and I'll give you 30 seconds on your presentation. How many times have y'all seen that sulfametron? About 5 or 6 times?
Probably.
Okay. A little while ago, I mentioned it to you twice, too, where the thing went. You must be looking at it? Okay. So now, you say, well, who all uses this stuff? It's mixed in with other stuff and still being used, not necessarily just by itself, okay?
Right.
Go ahead.
A little bit about the ingredient. It's a broad spectrum urea herbicide. It's used for the control of annual and perennial grasses and broadleaf weeds in non-crop land. It also has forestry applications where it is used to control woody tree species. It's applied either post-emergent or pre-emergent. It works by blocking cell division in the active growing regions of stem and root tips. The word on this one is caution, and this product should be kept out of eyes, and if it gets in your eyes, rinse them for 15 minutes, I think, and you're supposed to call poison control if you ingest it or if it gets in your eyes. PPEs, I'm sure everybody knows what they are by now. Applicators should wear long shirts and pants, shoes and socks, and after handling product, remove your clothes and wash thoroughly as soon as possible. And Oust is used in tank mixtures mixed with other herbicides to improve pre-emergence to early post-emergence control of weeds and grasses. It's mixed with Ivar X, Carmex, DF, Crovar, Velpar, Escort, and Telar. And you're supposed to add 2 to 8 ounces an acre to the listed rates of the following herbicides. What does it control? It's used to control many annual and perennial grasses. Some here are chickweed, crabgrass, fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, pokeweed, and ragweed. And there's a lot more, but I got them on the outline if anybody wants to see them later. And this is a picture of the site that was sprayed with Oust. It's not very good, but
Did they just spray that line or the whole thing?
the whole thing. I can't remember where this was. I think it was in Montana. I can't remember the website I got it from. But some environmental hazards. You're not supposed to spray it directly on water or to areas where surface water is present. Do not contaminate the water by cleaning of equipment or disposal of equipment, wash waters. Another thing, I didn't put it on here, but you need to watch out for drift onto like crops or anything like that, because if it drifts onto it, it can kill the crops. Application method: it can be sprayed from the ground or from the air from a helicopter. On the ground, it can be sprayed with a backpack or I guess on the skidder. I don't know. You know, Russell.
It can be done with skidder. You're asking me to spray with skidder.
If you're spraying on the ground, sure to use a sufficient amount of water to ensure thorough coverage. When to apply. It said on the label it's best to apply before the weeds emerge and before planting. So spray it before you plant. But it can also be applied shortly after emergence while they're still in the growing season, is what it said on the label. But it did say it was best to be applied before the weeds emerge. Application rate, you need 2 to 8 ounces per acre for loblolly longleaf / and Virginia pine, and 1 to 4 ounces per acre in stands of American sycamore, ash, baldcypress, oaks, red maple, sweet gum, or yellow poplar. So it's used for release for pines and for hardwood stands. Some precautions when applicating with trees present: only apply after adequate rainfall has closed the planting slit and settled the soil around the roots following transplant. If a surfactant is used, allowing the spray to contact tree foliage may injure or kill trees. And just an overview, Oust is a disposable granule that is mixed in water and applied as a spray, and it's used to control annual or perennial grasses and broadleaf weeds in forestry and non-crop sites. And I can't remember the exact price, but if you wanted to buy it, I saw it on Forestry Supplies for $220 per 3 pounds, or something like that. And that's it. Any questions?
Can you go back to the slide that had different grasses that it kills?
Yeah. You can use it to kill chickweed, crabgrass, fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, pokeweed, and ragweed. And like I said, there's a lot more. I just didn't put them on there. I've got them on the outline.
You make a contact. You make a contact.
Oh, no, I didn't.
What was it about spreading around water?
Yeah. You're not supposed to apply it directly to water or to areas where surface water is present.
I was just kind of confused that one of the trees you said you could treat was bald cypress. How'd they do that?
I don't know.
What grows in the swamp?
Well, not all ball cypress is in the swamp.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, how they spray it.
Where was it? It was in Indian
We went to
Mountains?
Indian Mountain,
Bald
they had it in
cypress?
the parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have seen them out like that, but not. They don't grow naturally like that.
Well, no, they were planted.
Okay, skinny on, what do you call that thing, what's Steve calling it? Takeaways on Oust is that it is the premier grass control herbicide for establishing pine plantations. Like Chopper is the premier chemical for site preparation, okay? Oust is the premier, and then you saw where they tank mix it with, many chemicals, especially Escort and Velpar, so that's where we got Oustar from. Okay, because somebody had Oustar, somebody had Velpar, and he had Oust. So it's so commonly mixed with Velpar that they came up with a chemical called Oustar to mix together. So people having to tank mix it, okay? It works great on post and pre-emergence, and that's the great thing about it. If it's later in the season, or you're doing containerized, you go late, you got stuff already up, you get control from that, plus you get that pre-emergent control for stuff that may come out later. Okay, because we can go back late with containerized, we can find containerized seedlings in June, they tell me now. Like pine trees now. Gotta have a little rain, you can't plant them in a bone pit, dry soil, but you can plant them as late as that. So if you need to do some control that late, you could use Oust for that. and get some pre and some post. Okay, I mean, you're getting post in, but then pre, following it up. So that's what's so great about that it works on that. And it works on all types of grasses, just about everything. Unlike, this is one of these that you can't, and he had it in there, you can't get this one in water. Oust can't get in water. Oust is highly toxic to aquatic vegetation. So you gotta keep it out of those wet areas, as I've said in this presentation. And it has a bit of a drift hazard. You wouldn't think that oust would, but it has a little bit of a drift hazard. Don't know why. I just know that it does have a bit of a drift hazard. But we don't put oust out with helicopters and skidders, y'all. Oust is put out on a farm tractor with a boom, some type of either boom sprayer or some type of spray on the back like a 4-wheel. It's usually band sprayed, okay? We don't use as expensive oust to do broadcast applications to control the field if it's covered in grasses. We usually go with about a 6 quart per acre glyphosate application first to knock it back, and then you come back and do a band spray of oust as you plant your trees.
In the road that you're
In the road where you plant.
So you can spray this stuff and then plant directly behind it.
Exactly.
Go.
Yeah.
So this is
As
what.
long as you got a good tight tree, he mentioned that, I've never seen that in presentations before, that's something new brought out. So make sure your hole's tight, okay, cause they don't want you getting an oust down on the root system. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, listed
Oh.
before. They must have had some problem somewhere with some killing or something,
Yeah.
and maybe the wood packer wheels on the machine planter didn't pack them back tight, or the tree planter didn't pack the tree back tight, okay? So you don't want it to get down in there, but yeah, you can put this out right on top of the ground, right with the trees. I mean, that's how most of my plant's being
This
done
is
right
what they
now.
use with them scalping machines. They scalp it, spray.
Yeah, well, we used to fur it with a fire plow, now they stopped doing that, now they're just ripping and spraying a band, they're ripping it first and spraying at the same time, and they're coming back and planting it. But we were having a tractor with a boom on the front, it was laying down a spray. They were coming along with a machine planter, and it was digging a furrow. They're dropping the tree in there, and the 2 packing rubber tire wheels are packing the trees back behind it. So you're spraying on the ground, ripping it up, dropping the tree in there, and the tree wasn't touching any chemical, and the wheels were packing the dirt back around the roots. So it was okay to do it that way. But right now, they've shifted on the tree. My tree planter shifted to a band spray and rip, and they're coming back and planting it by hand. They're not planting with machine anymore.
Same day?
No, coming back when the tree hand crew is in that area. So it could be weeks later.
But they could that day plant.
You could that day, as long as you don't get it on the roots, as long as you're packing your tree back tight. But even if you spray, like I say, my guy was spraying with a boom on front of a farm tractor, laying the mist, laying the band down. Then it had a disc and a plow, and it opened up a furrow, and it had 2 little long pieces of steel in the trough about this wide, and it was dragging through the ground. And you drop the tree in that trough right there, and right behind is 2 rubber tire wheels cocked at the 45-degree angle, and they were rolling the dirt in around the root system. So the tree never touched the chemical, as long as you were digging a trough.
Right.
You're peeling the chemical back away from the root system. But you can't use a surfactant. You can't use a surfactant. When you're doing release work in pines, you cannot use a surfactant
With anything.
because it makes it stick to the buds and
But
stay there, and it eats to the buds.
There's
And
different kinds of surfactants. ain't there?
yeah, but
Some-
they're all to help a chemical work, and you don't want to help the chemical work on a pine bud.
Okay, I'm trying.
The mist of the chemical on the pine bud sits there and kind of evaporates or slowly takes it up a little bit, but doesn't hurt it. But when you got a surfactant, sticking agent, wetting agent, penetrating agent, whatever, it's sitting there penetrating the bud and taking the chemical in quick and fast, like you're trying to kill something. But you don't want your pine to take that stuff up. So you don't use a surfactant when you're, any chemical, when you're releasing pines, even a directed spray. Well, I guess you can put it in there if you know you're not gonna get it on the tips of the buds. You might could use it. Depends on the situation. If you know you can spray it and not get that chemical, any mist, anything on the bud tips of your pine, then you can do it. Otherwise, you don't use a surfactant in the release work of pines.
So this is for primarily for grass control, not woody hardwoods.
Grasses and a little bit of broadleaf. I don't know, did he say anything about it? Did he mention any broadleaf?
Yeah,
He said broadleaf control, it was in one of the slides.
Broadleaf weeds, yeah. And I'm not sure about the broadleaf weeds, but if you've got really hard to control broadleaf weeds that are not trees, but they get established good, then you might be slipping into an Star application to control some of that. Cause I'm not sure about my broadleaves. I'm not exactly sure about my broadleaves, how well Oust does broadleaves. I know how well it does on grasses.
Well, isn't ragweed a broadleaf?
Yeah,
That was on.
but it gets a pretty good stalk on it, don't it?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So if it's really big, something or maybe something that gets into a hardened off, still not a tree, but a hardened off, nice, healthy broadleaf, like a small
Not a
crop
woody
of
stem
trees.
plant, but a big,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. You might go with a mixture of Velpar if you're in the sand or something else like, what was the other one up there, one of my favorites, Escort, something like that. You're trying to prepare a field for kudzu and grasses in it for tree planting, Escort and Oust. That'd really clean your ground up. So, other than that, that's it.